Welcome to the first actual episode of Phroad Street Phandom Podcast. I am your main host, Brian. Alongside me is my brother Cam.
What's up?
And our good friend Brock.
How's it going?
On today's episode, we're going to be covering NFL free agency, mostly kind of centered around the Philadelphia sports scene, obviously, but we're going to dive into some of the other teams in the division as well as some big name signings throughout the NFL. So I guess let's just go ahead and get right into it. So the Eagles won the Super Bowl, had a lot of free agents that we lost throughout the way. Some big name guys that came in off rookie contracts, some veterans that just signed a couple 1-year deals, things like that. I guess the big name that kind of left a couple of them, but I guess let's go ahead and just get into it. So the first one let's talk about is probably Milton Williams. So he signs a 4-year deal with the Patriots, $104 million, 26 annual value, and 63 up front, guaranteed. So
You got paid.
he did.
Yeah, we weren't paying that.
No, we can't afford that. So I guess the elephant in the room is probably the theme of my thoughts on the free agency this year is, we got guys that are coming up on rookie deals and we got to pay them. Yeah. And the problem is how much are they going to cost? So you look at the Jamie Carters, you look at, this whole secondary that we just drafted, it's going to be years down the road, but we have some big decisions over the next few years. Plus
the O-line too.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our O-line is like locked up.
I think Cam's the only one for an extension right now.
Cam's coming up. And I think that also played into someone else we'll talk about, Becton, leaving too. So, it's, hey, Milton got paid. He performed. Good for him. But it's
definitely good for him.
I guess my thoughts on Milton. It's like I'm actually curious. I guess he played next to Jalen Carter. How much of his success was because of Carter, either drawing the double, triple teams? Is he the one that's actually allowing him to have his success, or is it he's actually a stud?
I would say Carter's definitely a reason he gets to be one-on-one.
100%. Yeah. So, and it's like we kind of saw it a little bit. I mean, Javon Hargrave, he goes to San Fran a couple of years ago, and he's playing next to Fletcher Cox. And he didn't necessarily play against Carter, but kind of the same role. It's like Cox is drawing the double teams. Hargrave was there, and he got paid off of it. So unfortunately, he was hurt last year. But I think, they went to the Super Bowl the first year he was there. So it's like Hargrave.
There was effort questions though in the Super Bowl. They said he didn't seem to play as hard as he had in the past.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys too. I think like he loves the passing downs. He doesn't care for the run.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, this is not my problem. Yeah,
stop it and things like that. So it's like, he's another free agent still out there. I don't think he's signed yet. So we get him to
Minnesota.
Did he sign with Minnesota?
I believe Minnesota's got him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm pretty sure they announced that they were going to sign him.
I missed that.
So we'll certainly see how Milton does. Vrabel's a hell of a defensive coach. So if anybody's going to be able to, get the same success out of him, Vrabel should be able to do so. So the other big one, almost Super Bowl MVP, Josh Sweat.
Yeah.
Another guy. It's like you perform in the biggest moment and you got a payday. The problem
with Gannon.
That's what I was thinking too. It's like reunited with Gannon and, Josh Sweat. It's like he's always had, let's just call it like half a season. It's like he would have half a season where he's just like you don't see him on the field, whether it's injuries or what. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then like he just turns it on so this year for instance,
the Super Bowl.
It's like even towards the end of the year, like the second half of the year, like he turned it on and like he's a guy, like he's getting to the quarterback and stuff. And then, you carry that into the playoffs and it's just, he was one pass away, basically the Smitty pass that,
the dagger.
Yeah. If Jalen doesn't do that or, they don't even have that as a play and, they continue to go on and win. So,
it's just tough to give it to a defensive player when, it was a blowout, right? Like obviously like the defense did dominate the Chiefs there.
Oh yeah, 100%. And
but
the
it's just
score doesn't reflect the actual game. It's like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
don't want to certainly sound like a
Trash.
homer, but they
Yeah.
dominated that game.
I mean,
Trash
it was
time.
40-6 at one point, and they were just like, this is game's over. And then like it looks 40-22, and people are like, "Well, you only beat them by 18." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
it's
but
like
we didn't.
the last 5 minutes of the
We
fourth quarter with
we
our
whooped their
second
ass the
string
entire
in.
time, like straight up."
So, but I mean, hey, good for Josh Sweat. It's like we'll see what he can do. Familiar face, Josh Gannon there, Jonathan Gannon. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's like we'll see how Sweat does. Maybe he can go out there and relive his Hassan Reddick days of just being that outside edge rusher.
Those Cardinals like our defensive ends. They're just like,
Yeah,
come on
yeah,
here."
exactly.
Like, yeah.
So, all right, next on our list, the one we kind of mentioned earlier, Mekhi Becton. So this guy, high draft pick with the Jets, just never could get it going, especially when it came down to being like an outside, tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And, Howie and the guys, they just say, hey, let's bring him in. I don't know if it was Stoutland you or what, but
I mean, he's fucking massive.
yeah, he is.
Oh, yeah.
He's a huge human being, so it helps.
I can't imagine just like speaking to that. You look at our offensive line as a whole. It's like you got little ass Cam Jurgens, and then you have these towers of just size, and you got little Jalen Hurts trying to throw the ball, and it's like, yeah, it's a little Drew Brees esque. It's like you're literally trying to throw in your tiptoes just to get it over the line. But hey, I guess when you're running the ball the whole time, it doesn't really fucking matter what
and imagine trying to push Becton back at all. Like I feel like he couldn't. It wouldn't matter. Maybe Donald could do it, but he wasn't. He's not around. So it's like who else could push Becton at that size?
So, and it's same kind of thing we just talked about. It's like how much of Becton's success was because he's next to Lane Johnson, and because Lane's a goddamn stud, like he is, and it's we'll see. They have a couple guys that they're high on. I mean,
Steen, I don't know. Like
Steen Johnson.
Steen has potential because he's there, and we've seen him play the couple plays where Becton had like a slight knee or something and come out for a couple plays. But again, it says we're used about Lane. It's like, are they this good, or is it because they have Lane next to them, and Lane's obviously taking the number one guy? They just got the random no-name tackle that they got to guard.
Yeah, and then on top of it all, is it just Stoutland you? And, he just has taught these guys of this is how you block. You work as a team and like your combo blocking, things like that. So it's, hey, they were successful. They had a Hall of Fame season in the running game, and it was all dictated by that offensive line. So, credit to Stoutland, credit to, Howie and, the front office of going out and like taking shots on these guys. So, good for Becton. I just think that we ran into an issue where, I really think they're looking toward the future, and they were like, we can't stranglehold ourselves with contracts with these guys. Let's continue to try to build through the draft and, do these 1-year deals, things like that. And that's kind of what we'll get to, but what we've seen, it's a lot of the guys are signing are 1-year deals, 2-year deals, but just exactly. Yeah. So, all right. Next on our list, Darius Slay. Let's see. Darius Slay.
Big play Slay.
Big play Slay. I mean, I have no complaints. I loved watching this guy play. When they traded for him from Detroit, I was so pumped because we had a hole.
Oh,
we tried so hard ever since the freaking Sheldon Brown and Lito Shepherd days to get a cornerback, and for them to go out and like trade and get a guy, like I was pumped.
It was like, finally, we trying.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they did try a couple times with Asamoah.
Oh, Asamoah,
yeah. Like, they did, spend a ton of money in that position, just never panned out.
They were like, let's get the other guy on the team.
Yeah,
it's like,
that plays next to Sherman.
They don't throw this guy's way. It's probably because he sucks. Guess what? He does suck.
But I mean, honestly, like going back to like, I'm sorry, before this like conversation started, but like the Eagles are going to get a ton of these compensatory draft picks.
Well, that was what I was saying. Towards this, it's like, it is insane what they have over there. I mean, we could get into it now before we get into like the rest of the guys. I mean, next on the list you have Owen Burks. He came out and he played when he needed to. And there was injuries there. Like he was a stud. So he goes to Cincinnati. You got Gainwell. I think we all saw that they weren't going to bring him back. No. They can't. Like they drafted Shipley. Gainwell, like when he got like this year, I thought he played great.
He's a good run blocker. He does do well when he has to come in the couple plays.
Yeah. It's like he would come in for a couple drives, like to give Barkley a breather and stuff. And it's like he's hitting the hole hard. Like he's he was performing, and it's like it was good to see. So I'm happy for him to go to Pittsburgh. I think he's gonna, it's a 1-year deal. It's a prove it deal.
Mm-hmm.
So they got some offense there. They got two receivers on the other end. They have a quarterback, but hey,
their head case as receivers, but that's a whole nother thing to get into.
I mean, who's going to be their number one running back? Because Najee's in
Najee's
LA.
Najee's gone. It's Gainwell, and then
what's the other guy's name? I'm drawing a blank.
But I mean, regardless, good luck to Kenny Gainwell. Hopefully, he can do something over there.
I don't think he's going to be the feature back. I think he's going to be a complimentary back to somebody else. So it's like
they're going to use him in the same role that we used him in. They just got him on a cheap deal and threw him out there. Yeah.
Another one that actually, the last one I want to cover before we get into kind of who we did sign and kind of what we think, what I personally think is the plan of compensatory picks, is Isaiah Rodgers. Another guy that front office went out. They saw, he had the gambling issue, got suspended for a year. Howie went out and said, hey, let's go. He was highly touted out of college. So trade with Indy, bring him in, take a shot on him. He comes out. And I mean, he wasn't the feature corner, but I certainly think that with what we saw this year out of the secondary, he could have filled that spot where if you're going to let Slay go, you put him out there on the one side, you got Quignon on the other side. Gene can play in the middle.
And I would like to keep the Gene in the slot.
Oh yeah. I love
when they got rid of Isaiah, I was like, I just don't want. I don't think I want the Gene on the outside. Like I'm not saying he can't do it, but I'm just like the slot is why he makes that pick six.
Exactly. Because he's reading the quarterback, and it's like that's where you just know what defense you're playing. It's like you see it happening before it happens, and So that was one that I did want just because I didn't think it was going to cost a lot. I was like, okay, this is a guy that you can have here. You had him for a couple of years, bring him back. I thought that would have been a great fit. So let's go to
the Rams game. He got torched.
Oh yeah.
Conditions are shit, but he was just getting torched out there, and I was like, get this guy off the field, please.
Yep.
And then he gets that fumble return. I'm like, all right, well, at least he made up a little.
And he's okay in the return game too when he was called to do that. Even though that's another thing. I don't want any of our corners doing returning. The Gene or I don't want. I'm like, please. That's why they got Avery Williams. Not to jump to that, but I'm like, at least they bought someone who's just returning. Just do that, please.
Yeah, because I don't want Gene was great, and it's like, I mean, is Covey gone?
Covey's gone right now. He's free agent right now. Yeah, but I don't even. It doesn't. That's not a need to come back at all.
No, it's just I mean, unless you're making what Avery Williams got, which I don't even have the numbers.
They don't even have a number yet. It's just been assigned.
Unless he's comparable, Covey was good before he got hurt.
Oh no, yeah, he was fine.
He had the 1 year where it was like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And then he turned into it's like, oh wow, this guy's actually pretty good. He gets hurt, and then DeJean comes in. It's like, oh yeah, this guy is good, but I don't want him doing that for the simple fact is I don't want him to get hurt.
I don't want to get hurt. Yeah,
I'd rather you on defense. I don't need you to be doing punt returns and stuff. All right, so the guys that they signed, Harrison Bryant, tight end. This may be the end for Dallas Goedert. Yeah. I mean, I know they're shopping him. They might cut him. Goddard's he basically joined the year after they won the first Super Bowl, so he's been around the team since then. Kind of, he's that veteran presence, I think, especially other than BG and some of the guys that have left in the past. But it's the thing with Goddard is he can't stay healthy.
No, he misses a month all the time.
Yeah, he's a stud when he's out there. Great catching, he's a great blocker. Overall, I think he's a good tight end, but
I mean, if they go in with Harrison Bryant as their number one tight end, that's a problem.
Oh yeah. Grant's still there.
Yeah,
I mean, Grant's not even number one tight end either. No, I'm not saying he's number one, but I mean, he's at least now that Kylan Grayson dude they signed, the other tight end. I'm thinking that they planning on just keeping them as blocking tight ends. I don't think either one of them is a shoe-in to be your starter.
Look at the offense in general. It seems like after the bye, they were like, you know what, we're a running team. Yeah. We have an offensive line. We have one of the best running backs in the game. Why not?
If not the best.
Yeah. Why not just go at it that way? And then 2 stud receivers on the outside. So maybe what they're looking at is all right, if we could focus on tight ends, but more on the blocking side, then maybe it's maybe that opens the door for Dotson to kind of step up a little bit. I mean, the guy, he was a high draft pick. He's not that bad. You know what I mean? So, I think what we're seeing here with the offense certainly is that, they're more of a run-based offense, and they kind of utilize the read option, especially when it comes to Hurts and things like that. So Maybe they're just looking at tight ends of, okay, if we have to take money away from a particular position, we won't spend a lot of money on tight end as long as you guys can block.
Yeah, exactly. So, just get out there and block, and then maybe if you have to catch a 3-yard pass and go out of bounds, do that. That'd be great.
So next, we signed a linebacker. I'm going to butcher his name, Joshua Uche.
Yeah, it's Uche.
Uche.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So from what I've heard, I mean, it's been around Super Bowls. Like 2 years ago, stud, absolute stud.
Yeah.
This last year, healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. So not sure what was going on there, but hey, 1-year deal, not a lot of money, $2 million. Just under $2 million. So maybe it's going to be a similar situation that we saw with some of these other guys. It's like, hey, prove it.
Yeah.
So he might be one of those, hey, come in, play tackle, or
play defensive
play
end,
edge rush,
It's a nice rotation with Smith and him, and then Jalix Hunt on the other side, which I'm really excited. Jalix Hunt, sorry. I'm really excited about him. Like, he already showed in the Super Bowl, but now, like, whoever they decide to be on the opposite side of Smith is like, that's going to be...
Give Bryce Huff some compensation.
Yeah, 0 compensation.
What was the thing I showed you the other day, Brock? It was like a screenshot. They're like, oh, we should send Bryce Huff to the Falcons
for Kyle Pitts.
For Kyle Pitts. Yeah. And I'm like, you do realize that the Falcons actually have a mind too, right?
Yeah, right. It's like no.
Wait, hold on. You want to trade this? It's like, I swear, man. Some people just don't think, but it's probably just clickbait.
One of those mock trades they put in Madden and it works, and they're just like,
exactly.
Shit, I can do that in real life. Like,
so, I mean, Charlie Hewlett, long snapper. Yeah, we talked about him a little bit. So I think Lovato.
Good luck, Lovato.
So
congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Hell of a career.
2-time Super Bowl champion.
Yep.
Yeah, good job, Lovato. Patrick Johnson, outside linebacker. Don't have numbers on him. Adoree Jackson,
good veteran. Yeah,
quarterback from our favorite friends, the Giants. Yeah. Maybe he can get some of that Bradbury.
The last time we signed a Giants.
Yeah, exactly. at least for a year, right?
For a year, right?
I just need you here for a year. It's all right.
He was a high draft pick from the Titans.
Yeah,
years back. But I mean, he's always had talent. Like, it's just, obviously New York's kind of a dumpster fire right now. So
anybody that goes there,
it's not the best, showcase of talent there. So hopefully, he comes in, competes for a job, gets it, whatever.
Yeah. Like I said, I think at this point, it's like these guys are being signed to 1-year deals, and it's like, prove it.
Yeah.
So, little odd to see this one, but AJ Dillon. So, I mean, what is it? Squadzilla.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Howie's got a type. So at this point, if you got big thighs, he's got to sign you.
Yeah. And likes big thighs, and he cannot lie.
It is what it is. I mean, honestly,
big thighs save lives.
AJ Dillon was a stud in Green Bay. Last year, I think it was injuries that kind of caught him, but he was a stud. Hopefully, he can kind of come in, be the backup to Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be featured the whole time. It's like you're splitting time with Barkley, but it gives us a nice similar backs, I guess you would say. I mean, I'm not saying that Dillon's anywhere close to what Barkley is, but he could come in and still be able to do the same kind of thing that Gainwell was doing. Come in, give Barkley a break, and he
can catch out the backfield, and he and obviously, like, he's with the quads he has, like, tush push. Are they still going to do it, or are they preparing? Too. If we lose it altogether, then we have a guy like him who could go in the 1-yard line and push through.
But I'm also thinking like a lot of teams in the league, they've gotten away from their quarterbacks doing that. They're throwing tight ends out there.
Yeah.
What about throwing, like, all right, you have AJ Dillon that lines up under center, and it's like he's the one that's pushing through. And it's like you're not even like using Barkley in that sense. It's like, okay, we just, you take the ball, you go.
He can even be a fullback, sort of like the way they're using that Van Sierman guy when they're using him as a full. I was like, whoa! And then we signed that random fullback who we kept activating but never played, and I was like, maybe we just need to go get a guy who could be an actual fullback if you want to, try a different play besides a tush push.
So the last two I have on this list are Avery Williams and Kylan Granson. I think the Granson was what you were talking about.
That's the one I mentioned.
Yeah.
So Williams is the return man.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, like I said, I think the offseason that Hal has right now is he's just trying to build through the draft. Yeah. And I think you paid, your whole offense is basically paid. The only player that they lost that was a starter was Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
So your offense is basically coming back as the same. Your defense, on the other hand, I mean, it's a lot of young guys, but what is Carter? I mean, Myles Garrett just got $40 million a year.
Yeah.
Max Crosby got what, 38?
38.
high
38 million. So it's like Jalen Carter, which I know from what, in the past, how he likes to extend these guys a year before their last year.
Yeah. Yep.
So in my mind, Jalen Carter, he's going to be the highest paid defensive end or defensive,
tackle,
on the line, because we all know that's how the team likes to build their team, through the trenches. Yeah. So it's like they're going to lock him up. How much is that going to cost? So I think they're, all right, this is going to cost money. We have to be able to. We can't sign. What was the baseball thing? You can't have a $20 million player at every position.
Yeah.
So unless you're the Dodgers,
deferred.
Yeah. It's like what's Shohei making this year? $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, hey, I guess his translator can't bet it if it's only $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, another tackle, Jordan Davis, like, what's going to happen with him? Like, obviously, like, getting him in the draft, everyone's freaking out because this dude's 6'10", friggin' 350 pounds, like,
monster.
Obviously, like, a massive human being, but hasn't really shown up that he can play the full season. So, obviously, they're doing a lot of rotational. Like, you bring in the tackles and kind of rotate them in. Like, obviously, Milton Williams is a benefactor of that,
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see kind of where Jordan Davis goes. I know his deal's up after this year. But I don't honestly see them re-signing him.
I don't either.
At this point.
Unless the problem is if you can't stay healthy, you can't like play the whole time. It's like, are you really going to get a big contract?
Yeah.
Maybe they want to keep him in, but I think they're also looking at it. So basically what they have is, I believe it's 20 picks over the next 2 drafts. And I believe what I saw was 11 of them are
11.
top 4.
Top 4 rounds.
Top 4 rounds or whatever. So it's like, I think their mindset now is, yes, our offense, they're locked up for the next 3-4 years. Our defensive studs are locked up, especially once they sign Carter.
Yeah.
And then, you're eventually going to have the draft this year and the draft last year. So I guess the benefit is they've been hitting on drafts, which we haven't necessarily seen all the time.
That's why I'm so worried. I mean, it sounds like a nice plan, but you got to hit on them no matter what.
But I mean, the good thing is having 11 picks over the next 2 years in the top 4 rounds. It gives you a little wiggle room of, hey, if we don't necessarily hit on this guy, at least maybe we hit on another guy. So it gives you.
I'm looking at it right now. Schefter tweeted out that we are expected to have 5 of the top 100 draft picks and 12 overall picks in the 2026 draft.
Yeah, that's absolutely
insane.
And you know what's going to happen? They're not going to take that many players. What they're going to do is now he's going to package these picks. He's going to try to move up as much as he can. So speaking of moving up, this is obviously before the big free agents were signed, or everybody had us going after Myles Garrett. They were like, "Oh, what would you trade for Myles Garrett?"
God we didn't.
And in my mind, if you were going to put this big pick package together to go out and sign Myles Garrett, why not go out, do a similar pick package, go up to 4 and just get the kid from Penn State?
Oh, Carter?
Yeah.
It's a lot, though, to bank on a kid, that hasn't played an NFL snap.
But you may not have to go up. It may not cost the same as Myles Garrett. The problem that I see with Myles Garrett is that on top of getting rid of all these picks, now you got to pay him $40 million a year.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would rather give all those picks up, draft Abdul Carter, put him in with your offensive line, and then now you have a guy on a rookie contract for the next 3-4 years, and you're not dumping a ton of money into just one guy for a couple of years.
So 4 is New England, right? So that brings up that whole thing where they have this cute idea. They think they're going to get AJ Brown.
Yeah, no chance.
There's no way you're adding Brown to that deal. Like, don't even think.
No.
There's no AJ Brown's not leaving. Like,
no,
that's my guy. He's not.
100%. Yeah, it's like, it looks like you might have your Wentz shirt on, but
it's
AJ Brown.
It's AJ Brown. Not Carson Wentz.
You got the duct tape on the back? Or
no, this is legit. No? I'll turn around. It's legit AJ.
So I think what they're trying to do this year is build through the draft, take these picks, try to hit on 3, 4, 5 of them, and it's like so they're probably going to go after. Like I said before, they like to build out of the trenches. So you're probably going to see D tackle, a couple DNs. This draft is deep in, edge rushers and things like that. So I think they didn't want to go out, overpay for guys that don't necessarily, warrant
It
those
didn't pan out when we
contracts.
did Bryce Huff. Like, I
Right,
hate to bring him
exactly.
up again because I
Yeah.
can't stand him, but
Well,
yeah, waste of money.
hey, yeah. So, all right. Well, I think we covered the Eagles. We'll probably, come back to it, as we're talking through some other teams. But let's actually jump down. We'll go to the last place team in the division, our good old friends, the Giants. So, who did the Giants sign this year? They signed Paulson Adebayo.
Adebayo, maybe.
Adebayo. 3 years, $54 million.
They also signed Darius Slayton back for 3
Darius
years.
Slayton, yeah.
Yep.
Same contract we signed.
Spend
Same
that money in
contract
New
we
York.
signed Barkley for. Actually, more. I think we signed him for $33 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got paid more.
So Slayton gets 36, 3 years. I mean, I didn't see it.
Hey, good for them. Keep it
Yeah.
up.
But also, it's who's their quarterback? Because DeVito is the only one.
DeVito.
Yeah, he's the only one on the roster right now. It's like, what is your
Yeah.
plan there? Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
Rogers is out
yeah.
there still, obviously.
Yeah,
There's
Rodgers is out
talk about
there.
him, Wilson. So
there's a couple teams, looking at Rodgers. You got the Steelers, which, I mean, that makes some sense. But I mean, it all depends. It's all right. Rodgers has what, 1, maybe 2 years left. Look at
I would say
you have
barely
to look
one.
at it. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, is my team a quarterback away from actually competing for a Super Bowl?
yeah.
And it's like, I don't think the Giants are. Nowhere close.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the offense is not, because they got Neighbors, and then Tyron Tracy's not a bad running back,
Mhm.
but their offensive line is probably trash because they weren't doing very good in that retrospect at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is the answer, but who knows? They get a quarterback, and they could have like they could be a pain in the ass to us for sure.
Yeah.
Depending on who
Well, we
they
got
get at
2 other
quarterback.
pains in the asses
Hey.
in our division. So
Exactly.
But no, I mean, we'll see. I mean, if I were them, I would look at trying to draft somebody and, build around him. But I mean, this draft isn't quarterback.
They'll probably draft Shador.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than Slayton, I mean,
Javon Holland was solid safety. He was out of
Miami
last year. Yeah, he was
a
pretty
3-year deal, $45 million.
He's like a smaller. He can kind of go all over the secondary though. He's not really particularly like stuck back. Does it all.
All right, let's see. So look at that. So Patrick Johnson comes to the Eagles, leaves the Giants, comes to the Eagles, and then as we mentioned, Adoree Jackson comes over. Jason Pennick, free safety, goes to San Francisco. So doesn't seem like the Giants actually did too much. Signed a couple guys, try to add a couple pieces here or there. Again, I think they're in rebuilding mode. So maybe the GM should listen to his kids. Seems like they have better advice than he does.
Yeah.
So
And
all
get
right.
John Mayer some sleep finally because he's lost
right.
a lot of that. So.
Hey, at least he was a good sport about
Yeah,
it.
he was. He was.
All right, let's go over to our favorites, the Cowboys. So, do we want to talk who they lost, or do we want to talk who they signed?
Let's start with who they signed.
All right.
Talk about the team that they're going to have next year.
Dante Fowler Jr., defensive end, 1 year, $8 million.
He was solid. I mean, he has been good, has some flashes in his career. I believe it's Jacksonville is where he got to start. And I think he was on the Rams. And then kind of hasn't really like put it all together recently. But, he was talented. So who knows what he'll be anymore. Obviously, his age is going up, but we'll see.
Yep. Another DN, Solomon Thomas, 2-year deal, $6 million. So not spending a lot of money on the DNs.
I'll never pronounce his name right, but they did sign back their one defensive tackle, that Osa. Oh, good lord, Odijuwa, like Zua, something like that. I don't know but that's like that's their big ticket. Like they've spent $80 million on him and 52 guaranteed for the next 4 years.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that was the big item they focused on.
So I guess a couple names that they signed. Our old buddy Miles Sanders.
I loved Miles Sanders. Honestly, I thought he was a great back. Carolina didn't really do him great. He lost the job to Chuba.
Yep. Whether he's hurt, I don't know. He never was able to put anything together down there.
Yeah.
And, he signed a 4-year deal. They cut him loose 2 years in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dallas takes a flyer on him. I mean, he's not getting paid much, 1.3 mil. So, I mean, it's kind of like, hey, here's your shot. See what you can do. So they pair him up with Javonte Williams. I always liked this kid out of Denver. Like, I thought that, especially his rookie year, he showed promise, and just similar kind of thing. Can't stay healthy.
Well, they also had a committee there. It wasn't necessarily just his job. So it's always kind of tough to see how those running backs are going to turn out when you have it by a committee. And they're not like the, top 10, in the league to where they get that set role by themselves, so.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works, but I mean, it's got to be better than what it was last year. I mean, Dowdle signed to Tennessee.
They had Dowdle and then old Elliott. So it's like, I mean, they're definitely bringing some youth in now. I mean, they did have one of the best offensive lines. We've seen in a while. I think a lot of guys. Was it Zach Martin? Is that the one that retired early because of? And then they lose guys just to free agency. I mean,
can't pay them all.
No, they can't. But it's like I also think the front office just doesn't know what they're doing.
Jerry's just as long as he's the GM,
let Jerry cook, man.
Keep doing your thing, man.
It helps us out. So
it's worked for the past 25 years. Just keep rocking. Jerry.
Let's just make all of our players disgruntled. We'll sign them like the week before the season starts. And, exactly. So speaking of drama, did you guys see the DeMarcus Lawrence?
That was hilarious.
Micah Parsons. So you guys agree Micah Parsons just wants to play for the Eagles, right? Isn't that it?
Him and his brother, man, are just head cases on the internet. Like, they just talk mad shit about everything. And I'm like, if that was on my team and they were talking shit in their podcast like that all over the place, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Hey, man.
Like, do you want to be here?
Show up to actually play. Yeah.
We're podcasters.
But I love he's doing it. Right.
Yeah. Right. I'm not getting paid millions to show up one day a week. So no, it's obviously more than that. But I mean, hey, Micah Parsons is a stud, but
I mean, he's up next to get paid. He's going to get $41 million a year. So good luck, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry's going to do it week 2.
Yeah, get it done.
Wait till he holds out, and So DeMarcus Lawrence, where'd he end up?
Seattle.
Ooh, Seattle.
He said Dallas is my home, but I ain't gonna win a Super Bowl there. So then Micah had some words to say, and then they kind of hashed it out on Twitter, and it is what it is. I mean, hey, great locker room culture. It seems like everyone gets along really well there.
Yeah. Oh, in Dallas.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Good luck.
Yep. No, but we'll get to a Seattle, but I have no idea what that team's doing. But hey. So players that they relinquished. So we just talked about him, DeMarcus Lawrence, 3-year deal, $32 million with Seattle. So hey, good signing for them. I'm just trying to figure out where are they in this whole division. I mean, you're competing with the Niners. You just traded Geno to the Raiders.
Yep.
And then you signed Darnold. So it's
and Cup.
And you go out, you trade DK. Then you come back and sign. Yeah, you cut Lockett. You sign Cup. It's like I don't know. I don't know if they're just kind of.
And Jigba's not bad. Not too bad. He's pretty. But they're kind of both slot guys, so like they're kind of wondering.
They lost their size.
Well,
like
will they
DK,
go outside? Yeah.
Correction, Dowdle signed with the Panthers, not the Titans.
Oh yeah.
So they kind of traded running backs there. So Miles Sanders for Rico Dowdle.
We'll see how Dowdle does. Splitting time with Chuba.
I was gonna say, I mean, Chuba was kind of the bell cow the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's
he had the opportunity.
Going there makes no sense.
Yeah, he was there with McCaffrey, and it's like he was supposed to be the guy after McCaffrey. So when they traded him, it's like it was his job, but
and then they
he just didn't perform. He didn't perform that year. Like he was hurt or whatever, and that's when they said, okay, let's go out and sign Miles Sanders. So I guess that competition just fed into Chuba, but he took it by the reins.
Sanders disappeared.
So Jordan Lewis, cornerback, he goes to the Jaguars.
He also talked shit about Dallas when he left too. He tweeted something and people were just like, "Damn, that's another former Cowboys talking shit." I was like, "I love it. Keep it going."
Locker room must be great.
Yeah.
Cooper Rush.
Signed with the
Baltimore Ravens.
That was today, yeah.
Oh, nice. And then Chauncey Golston, at the end, he goes to the Giants.
Is Trey Lance still going to be there?
No, he's still a free agent.
He's a free agent.
He's a free agent right now. I mean, I would say I guess they signed him back since they don't have Cooper. So I mean, because he was there, but he was dog shit when he played.
Yeah, I mean, he came in against us for like one play, ran, and then like, all right, get out of here. We'll let Cooper. So I mean, Dallas's whole thing is, can Dak stay healthy? He has the freakish acts like injuries that you could think of. Like last year, he tries to throw the ball and his whole hamstring.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. Guy plays hard. He's annoying to see.
They definitely will score points. They never have trouble doing that.
No, they do. It's like CD's a stud. Like I would love to have him.
Oh, he's fantastic.
But it's again, front office.
We love it.
Oh, we certainly do.
Let Jerry cook. Let him keep
All
doing his
right.
thing.
Let's get down to the team I think that we're going to be competing with for a while.
Even though we would have been 3-0 last year, besides the
yeah, Jalen didn't go out.
Jalen needs
Yep.
concussion. Okay, yeah.
So yeah. So
I think they were the team entering the offseason with the most cap room. Them or the Patriots, but they were like up there at the top. So
Yeah.
if you look at their list of signings,
Oh God, it's a
They got
lot.
a lot.
Yeah, they got a bunch of guys that they haven't released the numbers yet. But I mean, if we go down the list, Javon Kinlaw, 3 years, 45 mil, defensive tackle.
Yeah, he was a Niner, I believe, and then went to the Jets. So he was always kind of like thrown into the San Fran defense back when Saleh was there, I believe. And kind of had a lot of promise out of him. Hasn't really showed up to it as much. The big thing, losing Jonathan Allen, like cutting Jonathan Allen and letting him walk. Obviously, like Jonathan Allen was, couple time Pro Bowler, like he was a beast there. But letting him walk and then replace him with Kinlaw, we'll see. But
I mean, that's a team. It's like if you look at their last, let's say 5 drafts, like they drafted very high on the defensive line.
Yeah.
So whether it was Sweat, and then you had the guy that Chase, was it Chase?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was Chase Young.
Chase Young.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like they go out and they got guys that were supposed to be good. They just never panned out, it didn't seem. So it's coaching. I think they also had a very bad front office,
just probably just the
locker
culture
room.
of the team altogether.
Yeah, when Snyder was there, it was just
It was bad.
it was just ran into the ground. So we'll see how our good friend Josh Harris runs his team. That's also very annoying, as
Yeah.
Flyers and Sixers guys, mostly Sixers.
He's doing a great job with those two teams, but
well, he doesn't in the Flyers.
I mean, I just mean I meant with the Sixers.
So, who else we got here? Mariota comes back. It's going to back up Jaden Daniels. Yeah, I mean, some of the one of the best positions you could ever be in life is a backup quarterback.
Oh yeah,
just literally just hold a clipboard. You got a guy ahead of you. You don't even have to do anything. Sit around a desk. Talk sports, and it's like, hey, well, I have to go in and kneel the ball when it's a blowout.
Here, the perfect excuse as why a team loses, aka Kenny Pickett going into the game against Washington.
Hey, good for Kenny.
Yeah,
Philly guy. He grew up the area, so that was cool. It's like we didn't expect to crush the Chiefs, but
played in Super Bowl.
He got to play. Yeah, a lot of the backups got to play, and hey, good for them. It's like you're not just on the sidelines; you're actually on the field.
Yeah,
and Shipley almost broke one too. 60-yarder. You can see him gassed. He's like going to the.
He's like, oh my god, I'm so tired.
Let's see. Will Harris, safety, 2 years, $6 million. Jonathan Jones, cornerback, 1 year, 5.5. Dietrich Wise, Noah Brown, Jake Martin. So
they also retained Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz. They kept both of them.
Yeah, I did see the Ertz. I mean, he's still a good locker room guy.
Him and Daniels do have a nice connection,
and it's good. It's like
each other the whole time. So
it's good for them to keep those types of resources there because they've seen it all. And it's like, yes, is he the same he was when he won the Super Bowl with us in 2017? Certainly not. But guess what? He looked like it when he played us in the playoffs.
Even the
10,
Thursday night
12
game.
receptions.
Yeah.
The first game of the season against them, he was cooking them too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, dude, Zach is still got it over here. He's doing great.
So unless that was just what Fangio wanted to do, it's like, hey, if they want to think and dunk the whole freaking time, we're not going to let them beat us with McLaurin or other. So they can dunk all down. Yeah, exactly. So let's see some players that they lost. Cameron, you mentioned Jonathan Allen. He goes to the Vikings. So Vikings, it looks like they're trying to retool.
Got a D-line.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen, and they added Hargrave. Yeah. So we'll see. 3 years, $51 million. We'll see how Jonathan Allen does up there.
Brian Flores is a good defensive coordinator. So they got a solid defense, and then obviously O'Connell can do what he did with quarterbacks.
I got JJ McCarthy.
Do we think McCarthy's actually gonna be a guy?
I would say now at this point, I'm pretty sure he's gonna at least start. Like they're finally gonna see what they got with him, but we don't know how he'll do. Yeah,
right.
He's had a whole year off, and so
I didn't think he was that good in Michigan.
Oh no, I'm not saying he's great, but I think O'Connell. If anybody can get anything out of him, it would be O'Connell. I mean, look what he got out of Darnold.
Yeah. So I mean, also it's nice to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. So
oh yeah,
it's
that's Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison too. Yeah, that's
Hawkinson.
They have some good. And speaking of the Vikings, they just signed Aaron Jones too, so they locked him up for a couple more years. So I think that offense is going to be there, and they're adding some defensive pieces. That division's going to be nuts with the
that was the Mason trade too, right?
Lions,
Didn't
Bears, Packers.
Yeah. So
we'll touch on that later in the year.
Let's see, Jeremy Chin, safety, 2 years. They lost. He went to the Raiders. Cornelius Lucas, tackle, went to the Browns. De'Ami Brown, wide receiver, he went to the Jaguars. Fowler, we mentioned earlier, he went to the Cowboys. And Zacchaeus, he was always one of my bets. I was like, there was a time where I was like, anytime touchdown, Zacchaeus was like plus 1,000.
Yep.
And I'm like, let's include him in that parlay. He never hit when I bet.
Over 10 yards receiving in a game.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I mean, just talking about the division alone, I think the Commanders are definitely going to be.
Well, we didn't even mention their biggest acquisition, Debo. Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is all free agents.
I'm looking at Debo right now. Yeah, they traded for that 5th round pick for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we'll see what Debo like.
What he's got left.
Yeah. I mean, he's always been like hit or miss with. He came on the scene a couple years ago with the Niners, and he was the feature back as well as the receiver. And
he can do it all. He can kind of be all over.
He was a fantasy superstar. Like if you had him on your team, like he's putting up big numbers because he's running the ball or receiving the ball. Like he was a great guy. Then they bring McCaffrey in. It kind of takes a little bit of that role away, and then they also put another receiver on the opposite side of him. So we'll see what he can do. It's another resource. I mean, they didn't have other than McLaurin. It was De'Ami Brown, Zacchaeus, and
So and then you get second year of Daniels. Like you wonder, is he going to be as good as he was, or he could take a turn like Shroud, and
sophomore slump
and be bad? Yeah, we never know. Like it's hard to tell what happens with those guys sometimes.
The thing about Daniels is one, I think he's got a really good head on his shoulders. He's also a guy that, I mean, he was like a 4 or 5 years in college, so he's like a seniored rookie. That makes sense. Yeah. So he's got some experience. Like he came out of a good program. So I think, unfortunately for the Eagles, that he's not going to be like RG3, where he was really good. He got hurt and he was never the same.
I think he's going to be around. I think
we're going to have to contend with him for a while. So, I mean, at this point, I think, that's our competition in the division. At the end of the day, we have to stay healthy. I think all the teams are going to say the same thing.
That's everything,
I mean, if Dallas stays healthy, I mean, we'll see. I don't know how their defense is going to do, but they'll score points. They always do that. So, all right, let's go into just the league as a whole, and we'll kind of touch on just the players. So we talked about it before. Sam Darnold, 3 years, $100 million. You said it, O'Connell.
Yeah, O'Connell.
He should be sending him like flowers, anything, like, birthday cards, anything he can think of
for the rest of the time. Something like it's.
He got that man paid because, in New York, I mean, they were basically bust.
Yeah.
So good for Sam Darnold. We'll see how he does in Seattle. He's got a couple weapons there. I mean, nowhere near Justin Jefferson, but we'll see. Let's see what else we got here.
Will Fry's guard from Indy signed with the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have much on him.
No,
I mean, good.
He was definitely one of the most talked linemen.
So Various Ward with the Colts. I'm just going down the list. Chase Young goes down to New Orleans, 3 years, $51 million.
Cam Byron also went to the Colts with Ward. So they got some definitely. And then Carlton Davis left Detroit, went to New England. So they got some nice pairings out there.
I think we mentioned it. Cooper Kupp, 3 years, 45 with Seattle. So he was a stud. He was a stud in LA. And Puka comes on the scene and he's just a bigger receiver. And I think injuries brought Kupp back a little bit, but going up there, he's still going to be a good resource.
Triple Crown 3 years ago.
Yeah. Super Bowl MVP, guy could play, especially being an undersized receiver that's in the slot. So Devontae Adams,
replacing him.
Devontae Adams, 2 years, $44 million. I mean, the guy he's bounced around since his Green Bay days, but he can still catch the ball. He's still one of the superstar receivers in the league.
Loved having him in fantasy.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
100%.
yeah.
Always go
100 yards,
after.
touchdown, 8 receptions.
Mhm. So
automatic.
now you got Devontae Adams, you got Puka, and you got Stafford throwing him the ball. I'm looking at it like, what does Rodgers have left? We talked about that. He had the Achilles injury. It's like, is he the
I
same?
think Stafford can still sling it as
Oh
long as he's
God,
healthy.
yeah,
Yeah,
Stafford can still sling it. So now
slung it against us.
you
Yeah,
take
yeah.
you take Cup, little guy, and you add Devontae Adams on the outside, and you have Puka.
Yeah.
Whether they put him in the slot or whatever, like the guy just catches the ball.
He can go all over because the main focus be on Devontae.
And then you got the running game with Kyron Williams. Like that LA offense is good.
Mm-hmm.
And McVay's still a wizard at offense. Also, he'll get some kind of crazy plays out there going.
So keep going down. Grady Jarrett signs with the Bears.
The Bears spent a lot of money on. They got 3 guards.
They got
Caleb.
a whole new offensive line.
They got a whole new offensive line.
Well,
they need one.
Yeah, from the Chiefs. Yeah,
they're actually going to put Tui back at guard instead of putting him at left tackle like he did against us. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to pan out very well for you guys. Put in the wrong position.
Yeah, right. Dre Greenlaw goes to the Broncos, 3 years, $35 million.
I was going to touch on them. They also signed that Tolana Ufanga from the Niners. Like they're taking both of those Niners players they're fantastic when they're healthy, but both of them were hurt this year, and now both of them are joining Denver. And Denver's already got Surtain. Like that defense is gonna be solid for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what are they doing on the offensive side?
Well, I mean, they got Bo Nix still, and then they Cortland Sutton. So running back, they'll probably have to draft. Because I mean, they let Williams go, and they didn't really have much in there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a solid team.
I mean, just look at that division though. So you're going up against the Raiders. The Raiders go out, they get Geno.
Yeah. Chiefs, obviously.
Yeah, they have the Chiefs. Yeah, it's just I don't know. How many more years is Kelsey going to do this?
1.
I thought he was done.
I thought he was done. The way of how sad he was and how sad Jason was about the Super Bowl. I thought it was. That was it. Like I thought they thought they watched his last game and that's why they were so upset.
I wonder, like, if they won the Super Bowl, he probably would have hung it up then.
Yeah,
and just go off into the sunset on your Eras tour. But it's like, I was surprised he came back, but I guess he just didn't want to go out
that way. He had an illness. He was sick.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if you look at it, like there was times where it's like, dude, what are you doing? You're just standing around doing nothing. It's like I just never seen him play that well.
Like Cam and Dickerson both need surgery as soon as the season's over, and they played that whole game, and he's out there just like, oh, I'm sick.
Evidently, half our team had torn triceps, and they're all still playing.
Brandon Graham re-tore his tricep, and he's just like, I'm still playing. Like,
Kelsey's like, oh, my stomach,
like,
my stomach doesn't feel well.
I got a little tummy ache. Oh my god! Damn.
Well, I'm glad he had his tummy ache. I didn't want to see Kelsey with 15 receptions, 140 yards.
Well, even if he was healthy, I mean, Mahomes was on his back 90% of the game, so there really wasn't a chance to fall back to him anyway.
Yeah, very, very true, very true. So, Justin Reed, the Eagles were in talks with them. 3 years, $31 million with New Orleans. No, I wouldn't either, but it's again, we kind of talked about it. I think their philosophy right now is we'll build through the draft. I mean, we didn't even mention it, but Zach Bond, re-signing Zach Bond, I thought was huge.
Oh, that was number one. That was number one for me
because we don't have linebackers. We never really did. We never really had linebackers, and we just brought up the Saints, but Zach Bond came from the Saints.
He was a special teamer basically on their squad.
Yeah, and it seemed like didn't they have him as an edge rusher or something like that? So they were like just playing him out of position.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if it was our front office,
but I'm glad they did.
Fangio came out and he was like, "Hey, I want this guy. Give him a 1-year opportunity." Comes in and he was damn near defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to see. I'm glad they locked him up. I guess the other big signing that we did that we don't really talk about is they rewarded Saquon. I mean, the guy showed out all year, and I don't know it seemed like the cap. It didn't really affect the cap this year, but it might affect the cap.
I think the way they did it before the new league started, like it made the cap hit less because he got so much in a signing bonus or something. However,
I think this year what I ended up seeing, because originally they were reporting that it was supposed to be less, but that ended up being like about the same or a little bit more. But hey, I mean, you paid the guy. he balled out all year.
Oh, I know.
So,
My initial reaction though was just like,
I was like, "What the
why?
hell?"
He's under
'cause we
contract for 2 more years. You don't have to give him money. Like he's here. Like but
because we're looking at the other free agents that they
we
have,
were
and it's
just
like, all right,
I
well,
was like,
what
where's
is
that
that
money gonna go?
exactly? Are they taking that money from somebody else and putting it into Saquon? It's
Yep.
like, yep.
Just
But
trust the process, right?
yeah,
Trust
oh,
Howie.
yeah.
that's the Philadelphia
You gotta
mindset.
believe in Howie at this point.
Yeah, no, until he proves us wrong. So, let's see anything else that sticks out.
I mean, Danny Dimes, Indy, backing up Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
See what Richardson's got. I mean, obviously,
that guy
shows flashes where he's got a hell of a talent. His arm's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
He can move around. He's massive. He's like Cam
He's got
Newton,
weapons
but
there too. It's
just can't stay on the field. Gets concussed a lot.
Yeah.
But so I mean, Danny Dimes. I mean, he was kind of the same. Like never really had a great team around him in New York, minus Saquon. Never had an O-line. So he's in there. Then our old buddy Reddick down in Tampa.
Hey,
yeah,
1 year deal. So, it's funny that I was thinking about it and listening to the radio and stuff, and they're talking about after the Super Bowl he should have 100% held out that year.
Yeah.
And I want money. I want to get paid, and he didn't do it.
No.
He did whatever all the fans say. It's like, oh, why are you holding out? It's like just you signed your contract, do that. It cost him a fuck ton of money.
Yeah, he lost so much money.
Lost a lot of money.
Bet on himself did not work at all.
Nope. Yep. He came in the next year on the 1 year thing, and he just didn't work out in his favor. So hopefully he can go down to Tampa, kind of get back on track.
I mean, what's the coach's name?
Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles. He's a good defensive
coach.
Yeah,
they fucking kick our ass.
That's what I'm saying. He's a pain in the ass with us all the time.
Whatever he does against Jalen Hurts, he gets him just
It's like Jalen almost can't even read what is going on in front of him when he plays him. But then any other time he seems fun. But when it's the Bucs, he's just like, whoa, what are they even throwing out there? I'm like, it looks like a normal defense. I don't know what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. So whatever Bowles has, maybe the league needs to look at it too and just be like, all right, well, he's doing something right. And early on in Jalen's career, it was all right, picking up the blitz, and then coming into this year with Kelsey retiring, and it's like Cam there now. It's like, all right, how are they going to, be picking up the blitz? And it seemed like they did great. Like it seemed like
there wasn't many times he was rushed.
Jalen, So, but a lot of that was dictated by probably the Tampa Bay Bucs and the 2 playoff games that we've lost, and he just looked like complete shit.
Yeah,
so
especially week.
Let's also mention in those games, AJ Brown wasn't there for either one, and I think the game earlier this year they didn't have Lane, they didn't have AJ or Smitty, right?
One of them,
One of them was missing, But.
So it's like when it comes down to it, it's like when you don't have your weapons, you're kind of one trick pony at
Baker
that point.
torched us too. Like it wasn't just Bowles. Like Baker was just like
Baker's
just
throw
the ball all over the place.
So.
Like.
And then the last other signing that I think is notable is Joey Bosa.
Going up to Buffalo.
Going to Buffalo,
yep.
I guess he's kind of replaced Von Miller at this point. Von Miller's still available.
Yeah, Von just did nothing with that deal that he had.
I mean, he got hurt, so.
How old is Von Miller now?
38, I would say, around there.
He's not young.
He's not young.
Spring chicken anymore, but I mean, obviously, probably a Hall of Famer. He's an absolute beast. But
yeah. Here you go.
He's 35.
35, almost 36. So,
Sorry.
Yeah. $20 million what he had last year, previous value.
But they signed him for like 6 though. Like they signed him like a huge deal, and I was just like, that is way too much money. Like when they did that, I was like, that makes no sense at all.
I mean, he won the Super Bowl pretty much for the Broncos. Like Peyton's last leg, and Von Miller's just out there just harassing the quarterback the entire game.
So I guess other guys that are available, kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, what do you guys think? Where's he going to land?
Pittsburgh makes the most sense if he's really going to do like a 1 more year. But
because I think they can make a run. They can make a run. I mean, even last year with Wilson, they were there for the playoffs. They just towards the end of the year, they played us. They had Baltimore. There was another
their
Buffalo.
stretch was ridiculous.
Yeah, they had like a 5 game stretch where it was just like they had a gauntlet of teams, and it's so maybe they go out, they get Metcalf. So it's like you pair him up with Pickens now. And then it's like if you just have a quarter. Did you guys see the Roethlisberger thing? He had his helmet on.
Like, and then Le'Veon Bell, he was like joking, like if Ben comes back, I'll go in there too. I was like,
bringing back all the old heads. So Yeah, no, I think that makes a great fit. I think that Rodgers, that would work. I don't want him to go to the Giants. I mean, he could. It's
Whatever.
it would be comical. I don't think
Hey man,
he doesn't make
stay
it
on
doesn't make
MetLife.
sense.
Stay on
But
MetLife Field. Keep
do
tearing that
you
Achilles.
know what'd be
Right,
crazy?
exactly, yeah.
The best thing would be is if he just follows the Brett Favre trade. It's like
Yeah.
he goes from the
I-
Jets, goes right to the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's
I
a team
wish,
that can
yeah.
win now. And like,
I want to see that so bad,
oh,
just
it'd be so great.
because, like, even if it's not the right move for either side, it's like just for all the memes and everything. It's just like
Mhm.
he followed the same path. What
Same
is he
path
doing?
as
Like,
Favre, yeah.
yeah, it's
Couldn't
like
stand
why?
Favre when he
Why
comes
would
in,
you
and it's
do
like he
that?
literally did the same thing he does.
Yeah.
So.
Next thing you know, he's sending a dick back to a reporter.
And then taking all your welfare money and shit like that. It's
Yeah,
like
so.
there's a whole.
No,
Oh,
but
man.
I mean, like when it comes to Minnesota, like, do you really think McCarthy's the guy? Maybe that makes sense. It's like, all right, we'll let him sit another year, kind of healthy, learn
Yeah.
behind Aaron Rodgers. If I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is one that likes to teach
I mean,
people,
look what
it's
Zach Wilson did. They didn't do shit.
yeah,
And he gets
yeah.
shipped off
So, but hey, that's probably like I think the best fit if he wants to win right now or try to get another Super Bowl is Minnesota. They already got a team around him. Like they were there last year,
Yeah.
and he's certainly better than Sam Darnold. So.
Oh yeah, he won't mess up in the playoffs like Darnold did.
did.
Yeah,
Darnold was
yeah.
awful
You got Stephon Diggs, 31 years old,
coming
with
off
Houston.
ACL.
Yeah. So, I mean, he might get another, 31 years old, maybe a 2-year deal somewhere, but it's probably going to be one of those ones. It's not going to be huge, money.
And
So,
but the track record besides the injury doesn't look good. He just seems to be like a problem in the locker.
yeah,
Like, yeah. I mean, look at they thought when the Bills got rid of him that Josh Allen was gonna fall off, and then he went and won MVP.
Well, I mean, Lamar probably should.
Well, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying he but I mean,
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like they were
Yeah.
saying, whoa, he lost Diggs. Who's he gonna throw the ball to? Oh, just everyone else on his roster. Like you know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. They certainly didn't have a number one up there.
No.
They had a bunch of number 2s and 3s, and I would like the 2 would even be like probably an overstatement of what they actually are.
Right. Yeah.
So, let's see. Keenan Allen, 32 years old with the Bears. He's still out there.
I mean, looking at the receivers that are available, you got Diggs, Allen, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, Robert Woods. They're all pretty similar. Like obviously, like Stephon Diggs 3 years ago, we're talking about him as like a number one receiver.
Oh, 100%.
Top 10 receiver in the league. Keenan Allen the same in Los Angeles Chargers.
Mhm.
You know, obviously he goes to the Bears last year. Still kind of helps out with Caleb Williams. Amari Cooper, that dude somehow is 30 years
Still
old. I
playing.
feel like he's been in the league for 15 years and
Exactly.
he's 30.
Yeah.
But absolutely like stud in Dallas, stud for Cleveland for a little while. So who knows what's going to happen with Amari Cooper? But
I mean, if anybody all right, if the Eagles were going to go after one of those guys, not spend a lot of money, I would love Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
Nice 1-year deal,
Yeah.
slot guy, like 100%.
Yep.
And it's like, it's like I think he makes the most sense. It's like all these other guys like Diggs and Allen and Cooper, like they're going to want to be out on the outside. And I think I certainly think like Smitty could play in the slot, but I love Smitty on the outside. He's such a good route runner.
Yeah.
So it's I think Lockett makes the most sense if they wanted to bring a guy in for just a 1-2-year deal, like not big money, but
I think he's got to go Raiders.
I was just gonna say that.
I mean, that makes
Pete
sense.
Carroll, now Geno there too. But,
Yep.
Or fuck it, go wherever Russ goes.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yep.
Oh, what are we thinking? Kind of played into it. Where do you think Russ is going to go?
I mean, I know he's talked to Cleveland and New York already. I do know he's talked to them this week. Yeah,
Cleveland's got Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett, baby,
and Deshaun.
Yeah, and Deshaun. Yeah, so
he just keeps tearing his Achilles. And
all right, who else we got out here still? Matt Judon comes from New England, goes down to Atlanta. I think Atlanta just wasn't ready. I think he can still play. He's 32, so he's up there in age.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in New England he was a stud.
He was good in New England.
I just remember him always wearing his red sleeves.
Yeah,
so you could easily identify him on the field.
No, he wears the red because his grandmother saw him bleeding one time and like freaked out, so he wears red now, so she can't. So he can't scare her. Like she was upset, like thought he was like. So he just wears red now, so he can't even tell.
There you go.
Yeah,
bleed away, bud.
Yeah, he's like, no, look, Grandma, I'm okay. Like,
yeah, right. So another Super Bowl champion, Mr. James Bradbury. So,
good riddance.
real question for you guys. Did you guys even know he was still on the roster?
I completely forgot. That
I knew he was there, but I thought he was like just on the pup, like he was going to be back week 6, and then I just like, why is he not activated? Like he's got to be healthy, right? Like by now.
No, it's
he got a ring.
Hey, he did. And you know what? It's like he could have easily came out and just been like the biggest pain in the ass all year. He was like, "Nah, these kids can play. I'll just injured.
They
I'll
said he coached. I said they coached a little bit. If he did that, then that I all the whole holding thing is gone. If he coached those kids and
that holding call was bullshit.
It's bullshit. But if he did all that and he's been that model of a player like that, I'm like, dude, we love you. Go, see you later. Good luck elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like the holding call is bullshit, and it's like you look at the years that he had. Like he was a goddamn stud with us. Like he was so good. Him and Slay on the other side, like, we didn't have to worry about it. Right. It's like then he had injuries, and obviously the phantom holding call. It's like, that didn't lose them the Super Bowl. The fact that they could not cover what was the jet sweep or whatever they were running Kansas City. Literally the second half, they were like, we're just going to have Pacheco. We're going to have Pacheco run across this way, cut back the other way, be wide open every freaking time. That's what
Mecole Hardman was open every time, like for a little like turnaround.
Jonathan Gannon was too busy at his interview. He was like, oh, wait, I don't need to coach defense this half.
That's what everybody thought that Kellen Moore was going to do this year. They were like, oh my God, stop talking to the Saints. And I was like, calm down, okay? Just let them and then
that is funny. It's like, all right, we just leave coordinators.
If you're in the Super Bowl, it's like you can't talk to those guys until their season ends. Like you can talk to any coach you want.
Just make it like the same thing. It's like, all right, you guys aren't allowed to schedule like nobody gets an advantage. You wait till the end, and once the game's over, now you can
pick who you want.
Interview anybody.
Yep.
Let's keep going down this list a little bit, see who else is out there. Robert Woods. That guy, he was a great player and just never...
Him and Brandon Cooks are the same person, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're just two different
I mean, you think of Brandon Cooks, though, you just think of Malcolm Jenkins knocking him the hell out in Super Bowl 52. It's like, well, I don't think he's really been the same since.
Yep. Stephon Gilmore, he's out there. Let's see who else. Rasul Douglas.
Nice little reunion, maybe.
Yeah. He was actually pretty good in Buffalo. Like he performed.
He was good in Green Bay and then Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Once we got rid of him, he couldn't catch with us, and then he just kept getting burned.
Yeah, and then what was it? Green Bay had like 6 interceptions or something. Like it's like, oh, now you learned how to catch.
Yep.
Let's see who else we got here. Ronald Darby. Oh, I didn't know he's still playing. So, all right. So, what are some of the notable trades that have happened so far? We kind of mentioned the Geno trade,
Debo trade,
the Debo trade. What else has happened that impacts our Philadelphia Eagles?
I'm trying to think of what we haven't covered. We're thinking of like now. We're just thinking of besides division. We're thinking of everywhere.
Yeah, just overall NFL. I mean,
trying to think.
I guess we could cover some of the draft. I mean, Sanders. Who makes the most sense for him? Shador.
I mean, you're looking at probably like Cleveland if they want to take him. Tennessee, New England obviously set for quarterback. Giants if they want to go up, but
I think Cam Ward's going to be the first one.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Cam Ward. I don't like how he handled the last
down the stretch there.
Yeah, it's like you sit yourself for the bowl game, and then they come out and they're like, "What was it?" The coach kind of was like, "Oh, it's a mutual decision." It's like, come on, dude, like play the goddamn game. And then on top of that, like he's not even going to do like a showcase for any team.
Yeah, he's just like you saw like Shador even said it too. He's like, my tape shows it. I'm like, the tape where you were never in a bowl game and stuff. All that tape. Okay,
and like what did Miami win? Did they win anything?
I don't even think
they didn't win their bowl game. So it's like,
or they won one of the 500 bowl games they have in college football. Like
right.
I'm trying to think of any other stuff. I know the Chargers kept. What did that just do? Good Lord, what are you doing?
So yeah, we'll see where Sanders goes. Same thing with Ward. I mean, I don't think Tennessee makes a lot of sense. They got Will Levis still there. and I don't think they're ready to win right now. So
no, because they even lost.
Not the guy.
No.
Yeah.
The only other trade that I can see that's notable, Laramie Tunsil to the Commanders.
Oh shit,
that is a good one.
Yeah,
Actually,
so that's a big trade. I mean, obviously us, we have a key trade in CJGJ.
Yeah, well, actually, that does
that kind of hurts us in the backfield. I mean, honestly, like one of my favorite things that I've heard in like watching all the Eagles recap videos was Gardner Johnson saying breaking up the huddle. He's like, "Hey guys, I talk a lot of shit because I know all you boys gonna back me up."
Yeah,
that dude talks a ton of shit, but hey, he backed it up.
Yeah,
first time with us, Super Bowl, let him go. Team falls apart at the end of the year. Bring him back, win a Super Bowl. Like,
well,
the dude's. I really am gonna miss him. Like, he does annoy me because he runs his mouth and talks a lot of shit. But hey, if he
got
fucking
something
gets under their
against him,
skin,
man. It's like, are we going to bring him back next year or the year after? It's like, no, it's like, I liked the way he played defense. I think he kind of set the bar, and he was like, we're going to go out here, we're going to hit motherfuckers.
Look what he did to his Chiefs. Travis Kelce,
we're going
blew Kelce out.
We're going to hit motherfuckers. And I think the kids on the team, they kind of adopted that too. I mean, look at Darius Slaves throwing his head in there and like actually tackling people. It's like a year ago, it was like, he was like,
yeah, Slay was definitely one that was afraid to tackle for a little bit there.
This year, he's actually laying people out and stuff.
Like,
it was good to see. Like, so, I think CJ brings that. He brings that energy. He brings that fight. And that's definitely going to be a big loss. I don't know. It's like, is Reed good enough to kind of hold that down?
We can't just bring back.
And then the other one is like, you got
Oh
Brown.
my God. If Maddox touches this team again, I will lose my mind. I can't.
Well, if he touches the team,
he's fine, but don't bring him back as a starting safety again.
No.
It's just we tried that already, and
you got Sidney Brown. Awful. Sidney Brown, he can hit. Problem is
can he
stay healthy?
Yeah.
He's one that also gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
But I liked him. He was good on special teams. The Laramie Tunsil,
he had a fire lit up his ass there too.
Yeah. Yeah. But Laramie Tunsil, that's a big addition for the Commanders, especially when you have young quarterback and offense. It's like you had somebody that is that highly touted as an alignment.
Yeah.
So,
but I did see where Tunsil was like the highest flagged left tackle in the NFL. I think he had like 18 false starts, and so like that's if they want that on their team, that's fantastic.
Let's go Nolan Smith.
Yeah, go ahead and scare them and make them jump. I'd be like, perfect. That's exactly what you traded for right there. Let's go.
So I mean, like I said, we went down the list. I think the Eagles, they didn't do a lot. We kind of talked about it. I think they're looking for the future. They're looking to build through the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, I would give them if we were going to grade them, I would say probably at this point. I like that they brought Bond back. I'm interested in seeing what they do on draft day. So obviously, this is only a couple weeks after the Super Bowl, so the actual off season, there's still a ton of time. And Howie's really good at signing people in the summer, bringing those types of people in. So I think there's still more to come. But I would give them probably a B.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like you know what you're gonna do. Like you have this every year. Like the teams in the Super Bowl, like they win the Super Bowl, players are gonna get paid.
Yeah,
and
you can't bring back everybody.
Like it is what it is. But obviously, like the Eagles do have a lot of depth, so they can kind of hopefully build Williams to Josh Sweat's. Like they're gonna have to figure out Josh Sweat's loss. Like that's gonna be big.
Yep.
Obviously, Bryce Huff didn't really perform like he was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe through the draft they kind of fix that hole, but
or maybe they figure out where he can play. Maybe it's moving him somewhere else to where he can actually perform. I know early on when they were talking about training camp and stuff, they said that he doesn't really play the run well, so that was kind of one of the things that kept him off the field. So all right, get better, be better,
right? Just figure it out because you're getting paid too much money.
Yeah, too much money.
Yeah,
right,
too much money.
And then, I mean, I would probably say like B-, like if we're gonna get like nitpicky about the grades, but but honestly, like the team just won the fucking Super Bowl a month.
Oh yeah,
it's hard to.
It's a little over a month that we won a Super Bowl. Like, it's very early in the off season to be talking about like how everything's gonna shape up for next year. Obviously, like things can happen, injuries, trades. Like you don't know. Howie's probably cooking something up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we
move up in the draft. Get more picks. Like I hope he's like trying to get more picks. I'd rather you move up. Like you got enough. It's like you want to draft the whole freaking round.
Yeah. So we'll see how it ends up going. But I mean, I don't know, Brock, if you wanted to throw a grade out there, but
I kind of like what you say about B- because like with losing Becton is where I would put the minus because
I know you're big on Becton.
Bond was like, yeah, that was great, and then losing Becton, it was just like, what the fuck? Like that should have been. But I mean, he got 18 million for 2 years. I feel like we could have easily fixed that
the other
there.
thing that's like we didn't really touch on with Becton, but it does make a lot of sense. So he played tackle.
And they moved him to guard, yeah.
Yeah, so we move him in a guard. So it's like you get some versatility there too. It's like, okay, well, he could play guard. Say, unfortunately, Lane gets an injury or something, you may be able to push him out.
And then Steen would still be there to be.
Yeah. So it's like you could still, and then, with his age, how many more years does Lane have?
Right.
Yeah. How many more years does he want to stick around, core muscle injuries and stuff, just fighting through? Like, he's an absolute monster, but
100%.
how many more years? It's like, is that the next guy that you think can take his role? So do you do a 2-year deal? So, but keep in mind, it's a 2-year deal. Maybe next year or year after, it's like we have the opportunity to bring him back. So 2 years down the road, and see he's playing for, either plays out of that contract, or it's like they may reunite in the future. So
I just looked it up, and apparently he's going to stick with guard. They're going to.
I was just going to say, if they threw him out to tackle again, where it didn't work in New York, it could blow up with their whole thing. Because I'm like, he did excel at guard. That's what they should assign him to be.
Well, they have that. I can't think of his name right now. The young tackle and Chargers. He's a stud. They drafted him 2 years ago. Anyway, he's a stud, and you're going to pair, Mekhi Becton probably next to him.
Right next to him, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's just going to be like, that's a hell of a, pocket created for Justin Herbert out there.
Yeah, Herbert's, I love watching him play. Like,
dude, he can fucking chuck it.
He's got a cannon on him.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Like, had Keenan Allen on my fantasy team for a while, and, it's one of those things where it's like when you have a quarterback that could deliver the ball there when he was there, it's always nice. So I always like watching Herbert play.
Yep.
Speaking of Herbert, though, he lost Palmer. Joshua Palmer went to the Bills.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. They signed Mike Williams back, who was there before.
Chargers signed Mike Williams back.
Signed Mike Williams back. Yep.
Where was he?
He didn't play much. Steelers. Yeah,
he didn't play much. It was the Steelers. That's right. Yeah. Like, he was out there. I think he had like one game that he actually did something, and he just was a guy running down the field. So.
Yeah, Rashawn Slater's the guy I'm talking about.
I thought you were talking about. I was going to say, I thought
Joe Alt was the rookie last year.
Yeah.
Right? He's good, but Rashawn Slater's the one that's a stud offensive tackle over there.
All right, so I think we're all in agreement of like, B minus for the Eagles. What do you think our friends the Giants did?
Not a fucking F. Who cares?
Yeah, it's like ungraded.
Maybe D minus.
Yeah, I mean, like they signed Slayton. I don't think Slayton's a guy. I mean, we also don't know what they're trying to do. They get rid of Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
They screwed up that whole situation. They let Saquon obviously go. So I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing. I mean, it's not like they overpaid people at this point for just ridiculous contracts. So maybe it is probably more of like a C of there's still more to come.
We'll see there. I mean, the secondary with Adebayo and, Javon Holland, see what they do. But honestly, I don't care.
I also don't think they're trying to compete for a Super Bowl.
So they might have a little desperation in there too, because they're just like, fuck, we lost Saquon, and now what do we do? And then quarterback is the biggest concern for. They have nothing.
Now. So, all right, let's go to the Cowboys. So I'm thinking Cowboys. I mean, they have a lot of big guys that are coming up on contracts. Like Parsons.
Yeah.
So I think losing Lawrence, that's a big loss there. So, the running back situation. I think the running back situation, they're better than what they were last year.
Yeah.
Getting Dak back healthy, hopefully. That's going to help. I mean, who's on the other side of CD? Are they still running around with Gallup?
They signed Kevontae Turpin. That same guy, the returnment. They signed him to a 3-year deal, number 9 or whatever.
Yeah,
they signed him back.
I mean, is Gallup still there? Or?
No, well, Gallup retired last year, but he's reinstated to come back. So he's a free agent right now. But
that sounds like some Cowboys stuff.
Yeah, but I would assume that's where he would probably go. But I did see where he reinstated back in because he was officially retired.
So, I mean, just based on what they did and what they didn't do, I mean, I don't see them any higher than a C either.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, they're, they've got a new head coach now. They lost McCarthy, so that could be a win in some Cowboys fans' eyes.
Yeah.
But obviously, like getting Dak back's the biggest thing. And,
Well, I think we talked about it. It's like I think the front office is the problem in Dallas. They're stuck in their ways of how they do things, and it's sign your guys when you have the opportunity to. It's one, it makes the locker room, culture better, and so we'll see how the offense is. Like I said, I was high on Javonte Williams. Where obviously we have some love for Miles Sanders. I don't like seeing him in cowboy blue, but we'll see what it ends up at. So yeah, I got them probably about a C. We'll see what I think they lost more than what they brought in.
Yeah, agreed.
But definitely with our defensive line too. Like I said, that guy I couldn't pronounce the Osa dude. Like they paid him. Like they definitely beefed up that area.
Yeah,
we should all take a chance at pronouncing his name.
Osa something. Osa like
Odigizua.
Yeah.
Odigizua.
There you go. You nailed it. So
Osa Odigizua.
All right. Commanders. I honestly think that they did well. Whether it was
the
trades and signings, like
the two trades are huge. Tackle, Debo, and then
they're looking at it like, hey, we just were in the championship game.
Yeah,
this last year.
I got stomped.
Let's try.
Don't forget that, but yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
is Lattimore
Brock
still there?
said it. All you Commanders fans out there.
Marshawn Lattimore. Yeah,
he's still going to be on the team, right? He's not a free agent. So, I mean, you got if he can, stay like healthy and actually have a full year in Dan Quinn's system.
He's a good coach.
He's good.
He's a good coach. I mean, even
Jonathan
when
Jones
was in Atlanta. So
Jonathan Jones, cornerback to pair him up with. So I loved St. Juice out there. That dude would always just hold. So that was always sick to watch him just get flagged every game. But
and then you get the flying assassin.
Tuofu, or I don't remember. Last name. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, he was just salty.
That was his only notable play all year.
Yeah.
But no, I think they actually did pretty well in free agency so far, and even the trades. They go out, they're trying to get offensive linemen, to get some weapons to put around Jaden Daniels, and they're trying to compete. They were just there, so they're going to be a thorn in our side for sure.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say probably B plus, top end of B.
Yeah, because I mean they kept a lot of their actual people, and then they even plugged in the spots that they lost. Like they didn't just sit there and go see you. They actually were like, whoa, hold on, you're leaving. Get that guy to go in there.
Yeah,
Frankie Louvu.
Oh, that asshat. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I almost saw the first awarded touchdown.
Yeah, dude.
Who knows?
I didn't even know that was a rule.
Oh, dude, that was so funny when they said, because Brady was like, I didn't even know that was a rule. He's like, what's that mean? They're like, we have to reward them a touchdown if they just continue to do this.
I kind of wanted to keep them doing it. It's like I never seen it. Like, and then it's like all the bettors out there have been like, well, who does that go to?
Yeah, like who fantasy
does
points?
Like,
get it? Who gets the touchdown on my fantasy team? Like, I need to know that now. Like,
yeah, exactly. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the trades part, like you get a pretty solid veteran tackle. You get Debo, and who knows what Debo's got left. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is a stud. So I would say at A-, high B. Like, obviously, like, we'll have to see what the rest of the offseason continues to bring.
I mean, if we just look at their team in general, it's like your running backs. You have Brian Robinson. Who's the other guy who's split
Austin Eckler was there
Austin Eckler, yeah. I think he's still under contract. So, I mean, he also got hurt this year.
Yeah.
That he's a great back out of the backfield. I mean, when he was with the Chargers, again, another fantasy guy, but this dink and dunk, and he was a stud. So again, somebody that's going to be able to, be Mr. Reliable. He's just going to be the little dump off. And then now you're pairing McLaurin up with Debo. Like, they have a pretty good offense.
Yeah.
So defensive wise, they're adding some players, and we'll see. But hey, got to play them twice a year. So no, I agree. I think they're up there. What do you got them at?
I like the B plus rating. Yeah, like I said, because they plugged in stuff they needed. The trades are nice, but it doesn't really like it puts them above where they were.
Yeah,
for sure. And like I said, they got Daniels is obviously going to be solid. So he's a problem. So we're giving him another weapon instead of a Zacchaeus or Zacchaeus or Brown. So it's definitely better what they got him with.
Yep.
If Debo has anything, because Debo could feel a little slighted because, so he maybe be motivated to be like he was, because I mean they paid Ayuk all that money, and all that. And he was just like, "Hello, like I want mine." And they were just like, "All right, goodbye, see ya." Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll end up seeing what they end up doing. And like just comparison, it's like, all right, I'm saying they are B plus. I don't think the Eagles had a lot of needs, I guess you would say. So it's like I'm saying B minus because they signed the players I think they needed. I think they needed Bond. Like that was the guy they needed.
Oh yeah.
The other guys, like on the offense, for instance, there wasn't many holes. So on the defensive side, I'm interested to see what they're going to do in the draft. So I think like right now, B minus, it certainly can get up in the A's, especially once we get into the draft and what else is happening. But I like the 1 year stuff that they're doing of prove it deals, and it seems like
because there's always guys like
they've
that.
been doing well at that for the most part. So, but other winners of free agency so far. I mean, Minnesota. I think if they can go out and get a Rodgers, let McCarthy sit another year, that team's they're gonna be good.
They're gonna be solid.
I mean, talking contenders, the Lions. I mean, what do the Lions got? They kind of kept the
They
same
just kind of
team.
lost the secondary.
I was
Right?
gonna say, they lost the one guy
Carlton Davis.
Carlton Davis, thank you. That went to the Patriots, but other than that, they had so many injuries. So they're just gonna get.
I mean, they were still competing with like no defense,
right. Their
because they were all
offseason is
hurt.
gonna get all those guys coming back.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah. So those are basically additions.
right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, they're still gonna be solid.
Lions are gonna be good. Did you see the reports where St. Brown was like, "Oh yeah, we want to play the Eagles because they wouldn't have beat us."
Oh yeah, he's like they wouldn't.
I
have
hope
done that.
I hope that's week 1. I want that to be week 1, but
it will be. We'll
it's
open up at them against them.
Yeah, that'll be a good game.
I mean, the Bears, we touched on it a little bit. Like they have a whole new offensive line.
Yeah,
that's awesome for them. Signing Grady Jarrett, that's a big move on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
Obviously, that division tough.
Mm-hmm.
Lions and
the
Lions won and Vikings 14 plus wins last year.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And then Green Bay comes in and still competitive. So
yeah, I mean, just speaking of Green Bay, it's like Jordan Love. I mean, he shows signs of being good, and then he has games like the playoff game where it's like, come on, dude, you're like literally throwing the ball right to the other team.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what Green Bay does, but yeah, I agree. That division they're pretty stacked.
Stuff, yeah.
I mentioned it earlier. I have no idea what the Seattle Seahawks are doing. But in that division, you got the Niners. The Niners they were another team that was riddled with injuries last year.
Yeah.
So, you get McCaffrey back. Hopefully, I don't know how many more years he has left, but it seems like it's an every other year thing. Like he's healthy, hurt, and I know a lot of that because I have him on my fantasy team. So he's great when he's healthy. But they got Brock Purdy. I mean, it seems like he's a great fit for that system. I don't necessarily.
They lost so many pieces though.
Like, yeah, I mean, they lose Debo, and it's like they lost a lot of defense, a ton of defense. I mean, I'll even just pull them up just so we can go through it.
And they lowballed Brock Purdy. They offered him only $45 million, and people because I mean like the average is like 50 plus, and they were just like, well, we're gonna give you 45, and it's like
Tavarius Ward, cornerback, goes to the Colts. Telanoa Hufanga. Yeah, I butchered that one. He goes to the Broncos. Is kind of what you were mentioning, Brock. Dre Greenlaw goes to the Broncos. Hargrave goes to Minnesota. Jalen Moore goes to the Chiefs. Malik Collins goes to the Browns. I mean, they lost. Elijah Mitchell goes to Kansas City. I mean,
they brought in Mac Jones though, baby.
Oh, there you go.
2-year deal.
Turn of the
Mac attack.
And they brought Salah back, so I mean, I'm guessing that they'll draft the defensive pieces they lost, and then put his system back.
So they signed their fullback again.
Juszczyk.
Juszczyk. 2-year deal.
I mean, makes sense. There's only like 2 or 3 teams that actually use a fullback, so it's kind of tough.
Yeah, and I mean, he actually catches the ball in the backfield. So it's like he plays like a hybrid version of the fullback position, but he's another great fit there. So yeah, I agree. I think obviously them getting healthy is going to help, but they did lose some weapons out there, especially on the defensive side and stuff. So we'll see how they do. I mean, Seattle adding Darnold, adding
Cup.
It's losing DK. It's like kind of, but they have a couple defensive pieces. We'll see what's going on there. And then who else do we got in that division? The Cardinals signed, Super Bowl champion Josh Sweat. So we'll see.
And they got Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got
we got any Call of Duty releases coming up in the foreseeable future?
Oh, Verdansk. Well, I mean, it's off season, but Verdansk comes back, so I mean, he'll be playing that, but that won't affect him then.
And then the Rams, obviously.
And the Rams, I think.
Devontae.
I mean, I think that addition is good.
Their defense
I think
is good.
their offense is kind of already it's there. So that division too is going to be another tough one. So I mean, even ours. I mean, if you look at it, it's like if Dallas is healthy, they're going to score points, and it's like it could be a 3-team race. And who knows? It's like we've had a couple years now where it's like after the Super Bowl, we either have injuries or we just start out slow. So I'm not even banking on us, hitting on all cylinders at that point either. So whether it's the Commanders kind of taking the
helm at the point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, look at our division. We haven't had a repeat winner since how long now?
Since 2004 or something. Since we did it.
Since we did it. Yeah. So I mean,
with Donnie,
it's definitely always switching around all the time.
But there's a lot of parity in the league, and that's where free agency and stuff comes in. Salary caps and stuff. So, trying to think of who else did really well.
The Pats. I mean, getting Vrabel in there.
Vrabel, being huge, and then
getting Harold Landry.
They're adding some
I wanted Harold Landry. I was like, let's go get him.
I think just Vrabel in general, like that dude.
Yeah,
he knows how to run a football team.
But it's like if you look at the division, it's like all right, the Bills they lost a little bit, but I think they kind of stayed for the most part.
They booted the offense up, and they kept like Greg Rousseau defense. They kept some of their people in there, and they paid Josh Allen handsomely too. So
the Jets are the Jets. I don't think they took a shot last year with trying to bring Rodgers and Adams in, or 2 years ago, and last year with Adams, but they just couldn't stay healthy or put anything together. And then Miami,
it's Tua.
It's Tua,
the Guardian cap dude.
And Zach Wilson's now the backup.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. He signed a 1-year deal.
I hope he wants to actually start because he's got a shot.
But then,
those former Jets quarterbacks, dude, they leave and then they turn into
something. That's true. Yeah, you might get paid.
That may be.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, though, I mean, he had hints where he was like tweeting about stuff, and people thought he wanted out because he was like complaining about how something happened. And they were like, "Oh, you went out?" He's like, "No, I don't want out. I'm just venting on Twitter." And they were like, "Okay, look, you were a little angry, man." Like,
He's got too many kids running around.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
All over the country.
He's trying to just get away from him.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and like Mac Hollins, he left Buffalo, signed with New England.
He's with New England, yeah.
So, I mean, if they can get actually like a decent receiving core for Drake May give him some help, like that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Their running back position, I don't think is anything great, but
no, they still have Stevenson, right?
Yeah,
and then they lost their center. They released him, David Andrews. I guess he'd been there for 8 years or something that. So who knows? But I think their defensive side of the ball, they've made a lot of improvements. And again, getting Vrabel, I think, is the biggest acquisition for them.
Yeah, exactly. So, which speaks to the Titans, and just they seem like another team that just has no idea what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
So they trade AJ to us. They draft Treylon Burks. How about Treylon Burks? I mean, I thought he was going to be the next AJ. And that guy he hasn't done nothing.
No.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's like you just haven't had a quarterback, whether it was because it was probably Mariota, right? When he came in.
No, it would have been Tannehill.
It was Tannehill.
Oh, Tannehill. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Tannehill, and then now you have Levis, the mayonnaise guy. But it's just I thought he was going to be a stud. Like I was high on him in drafts. Like I tried to pick him up, like as your rookies that you sit on for a little bit in fantasy, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but it's never worked out.
It's crazy with Levis because they drafted him and that Malik Willis kid the same year, and then people were like, "Draft 2 quarterbacks? What are you doing?" And now Malik Willis is Jordan Love's backup, and he won I think at least 2 games this year while Love was injured.
Yeah,
and then they thought Malik Willis would even get interest from other teams. They thought maybe someone would trade for him to be a backup. And then Levis is just awful, and that's what the Titans picked. And I'm just like,
yeah.
You picked the wrong one.
That division's like always. See, if Houston, Stroud had a bad year, down year.
He lost Nico for like 6 weeks with the hamstring.
Yep. Yeah, and then the kid that like always finds a way to get hurt.
Tank Dell.
Yeah. Poor freaking kid, man. That pass that he caught that he like blew his knee out, like
and he got shot early in the year too. Yeah.
I feel bad for the kid, but it's one of those things where Stefan's gone, but I don't really think he provided much. I think like him as a Bill was better than what he was with the Texans. Yeah. So it was still Nico and Tank.
And Joe Mixon was a great signing.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. So I think Houston's going to get right back on track this year. I think Stroud's going to do better. And they just brought another player in too, right? We just talked about him. Texans.
Did we mention them? I think we did. But while we're still on them until we figure out, they lost a bunch of O-line, though. Like, they lost Tunsil. They traded that guard to us. Like, there was talks that their O-line was really bad last year.
I mean, I'm seeing that the Texans, the main signing's Mario Edwards. They re-signed Derek Barnett.
I saw that 1 year, $4 million. Yeah.
Sheldon Rankins, he was
Captain
solid for a
penalty.
little while. Lincoln Tomlinson, he was all right as a guard, but nothing crazy.
Maybe what I was looking at was them losing. So
Yeah.
I mean, Braxton Berrios, he's not a big.
And then they traded obviously Tunsil away.
Yeah. So I mean, like in that division, they're right there to win that division. Easy. I mean, the Colts.
Yeah,
the Colts are the Colts. Like they have talent, but they find ways to lose.
Yeah.
Whether it's just they just don't they play down at their competition or vice versa, whatever. So I mean, Jonathan Taylor's still there. I mean, they just extended him last year, right?
Yeah.
So he's a stud when they're actually running the ball, but what does that do with Richardson and stuff?
Steichen's obviously doing okay there offensively, but what's he got, like another year? And then if it doesn't work, then he's going to be gone. Richardson's
he'll probably be
gone.
the next firing, probably.
So,
yep. I mean, who else we got there? See, if Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Jacksonville. It's like, I mean, Doug's gone.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence, you got to see if he's ever gonna.
He's like the third highest paid quarterback, or he was until the Allen deal and all that. But
it's like what a disappointing career. Like the guy showed so much talent, so much promise coming out of Clemson. He just is not translated to the NFL. I thought like Doug going there was going to be huge for both of their careers.
Yeah,
like I didn't necessarily agree with them cutting them loose in Philly, but maybe he wanted a little bit more, control.
Right.
And how in the front office was no, we want to make sure we can keep our checks and balances, and maybe that's probably why he went down to they let him loose. He goes down to Jacksonville. I thought him and
Lawrence would do. I mean, they made the playoffs that 1 year, but then they blew that lead against the Chargers. They were up by and they just blew it.
Carson also helped the Jags get in.
Oh yeah, because he blew that game. Yeah. I was like with the Colts.
But I mean, losing, they traded Christian Kirk. They cut Evan Ingram. Ingram signed with the Broncos.
But those were big signings when he went there. It's
right, that's what I'm saying.
They overpaid for Christian Kirk because they had so much money to spend, and they kind of reset the wide receiver market with that. And it's like, dude, he's not worth whatever ridiculous amount of money he made.
$100 million.
Yeah, and then they go out, they get Evan Ingram. So try to put weapons around him, and it never worked out.
Yeah, I mean, they got the coach, the former Bucks OC, Liam Cohen. Mm-hmm. Biggest thing I think he's done is said Duval weird during his press conference. So
oh my god, it was so bad.
Good luck to him.
So and then I mean NFC South, you got Falcons. They're running with Penix this year.
Yeah, I mean Kirk Cousins. They just announced yesterday he's going to be on the roster, so his $10 million signing bonus. Great, Kirk Cousins. The dude's going to be just
holding the clipboard and just.
I mean, Penix has injury history though, so in college, so it's possible he could play again.
Yeah, and then I mean Tampa Bay, they re-signed Godwin. They get
Reddick. They have. I mean, I've always liked Baker. I love the way he plays the game. So it's like I'm glad that he got out of Cleveland and whatever pit that is. But Carolina, it's like I mean, hey, he was balling out last year. It's like he certainly pulled his end of the bargain. Mm-hmm. So and they got Mike Evans, that guy, like
amazing.
Good for him.
Yeah,
good for fucking him. Yeah, amazing career. He's still adding to it. So, yep, 100%. So love watching Mike Evans, another big fantasy guy on my team.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think the Broncos, or not the Broncos, the Buccaneers. I think the Bucs are, that's their division to lose in my mind.
100%. Yeah.
It's like I don't think the Saints did enough.
Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
Well, but Derek Carr, it's like he's still. I mean, he's at
Taysom Hill.
Oh yeah.
Kellen Moore's got drawn up for Taysom Hill. See what happens.
Do they still have Taysom Hill, or did they let him go? I thought they cut him.
Who knows?
I could be wrong there, but I thought I saw something.
They'll sign him back.
Yeah, they probably will.
Or
no one else.
Christian Kirk did sign with the Texans, by the way. I didn't think. I don't think we said that, but yeah, he's with the Texans.
Maybe that was the one I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering. I was like, I don't think it was on your list.
Once he gets paid one like big contract, it just sticks in my mind. Like big additions for teams, and yeah. So no, it's I think the Saints. We'll see.
Yeah,
Derek Carr, but I still think the Bucs are the class of that division.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, All right. Well, I think that's probably some good free agency coverage that we have today. I guess I will say that, stay tuned, listeners. Obviously, follow. This is our first episode. We're looking for many more. We have some exciting things coming up, with baseball season right around the corner. So we'll we'll preview some of that next week. Maybe at a little special event, little live stream. We'll talk about that maybe talk about that after. But yeah, hope everybody enjoyed listening, and go ahead, sign off. So
Thanks, everyone.
cheers.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.